Right, let us continue with our chapter 7, which is on motivation. We have previously discussed on the need-based model of motivation, and now we are going to discuss on the process-based model of motivation, and we are going to start with the expectancy model. So expectancy model saying that every employees we have a different expectation and motivation to do something. We have the perception that our effort will lead to performance, and we have the perception that the performance will lead to different outcomes, and then we have the perceptions that the outcomes would be valuable to the employees. So this is how the model works. For every effort, we know that it will lead to the performance, and we have the expectancy that if our effort is minimum, our performance also is minimum. But if we put greater effort, we know that we are going to perform better. That is our expectation. And then we also have expectation in terms of the instrumentality, in terms of the various work outcomes. If your performance is better, if your performance is better than the rest, you have the perception that your outcomes would be better. And then the last one is the valence, is the value. If you receive for the performance that you have delivered, and you only get a keychain as a pen, a diary as a reward, you might not value that reward, and this would be translated into your future effort, in which you would feel demotivated in order for you to exert the same level of performance. But if you are being rewarded handsomely, for example, you are being rewarded with a 1 month salary, with a 1,000 bonuses, for example, and you value that 1,000 ringgit, and you value that 1 month salary, this would create a much bigger motivation for you to improve your performance in the future. The next process-based model that we are going to discuss is equity theory. Equity theory is that we are going to make comparison. And for example, if we look at the equity model, we are going to compare input and output ratio with others. If we perceive there is an inequity, so we are going to feel motivated to reduce perceived inequity and exhibit new behavior. And if we perceive equity, exhibit no change or in behavior or action. For example, if you look at our neighbor, he has a brand new car, and we perceive that as an inequity that would change in terms of our motivation. We are going to work harder, we are going to do more part-time jobs, we are going to do more overtime in order for us to get more money, in order for us also to change our car, in order for us to get a brand new car. That would exhibit a new behavior. But if we feel that his new car is no better than what the car that we are currently have, for example, so we perceive that as equity. So this would exhibit in no change or no behavior or no new action in terms of our behavior. The next one is the goal setting. Goal setting, the goal setting serves three purposes. You set goals, give direct behavior towards overall performance, organizational goals and strategy, provide challenges, and then define what is important and provide a framework for planning. This one, you can read this on your own. For example, goal, we use this SMART setting: specific, measurable, achievable, results oriented, and time or related or time oriented. The next process-based model that we are going to discuss is reinforcement theory. Reinforcement theory is based on the idea that people learn to repeat behaviors that are positively rewarded and avoid behaviors that are punished, not reinforced. The application of reinforcement theory is frequently called behavior modification because it involves changing one's own behavior or behavior of someone else. This is how the reinforcement strategy looks like. This is this positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement to support organizational goals. Extinction and punishment is we use when it hinders organizational goals. So positive reinforcement, administration of positive and rewarding consequences. For example, we give more commissions, get more paid, raises when employees get more sales. And then negative reinforcement, also called avoidance learning, to strengthen desired behavior by allowing escape from an undesirable consequences. For example, what we do under negative reinforcement, we ask the low performance employee to clean up the factory, and this will motivate them to work harder next time to avoid from being given the same task. Another example of negative reinforcement is nagging. Sometimes we do things accordingly because we want to avoid from being nagged by our bosses. Nagging is like belete lah, kan? So we want to avoid that. That is part of the negative reinforcement. So that will keep us motivated to do work as expected. And then we have extinction and also punishment. Extinction is the withdrawal of the positive reward or reinforcing consequences for an undesirable behavior. So when your employees are doing undesirable behavior, you just don't do anything. You don't respond to him or her, and that would minimize or that would eliminate her undesirable behavior. And lastly is punishment, the administrative of negative consequences following undesirable behavior. So this one is you punish, for example, laying off, reduce pay, and this would also improve the negative behavior or the negative outcomes, consequences following the undesirable behavior by our employees. So the application of reinforcement theory is called behavior modification. It is intended to change or modify one's own or someone else's behavior, and it also used in order to reward behavior of the employees that is desirable for the organization and ignore the behavior that is not, or even punish that individual. And last but not least is the contemporary motivational approaches. We have these 4 types of approach, motivational, that you can do as a manager. For example, participative management, where you involve the process where the power, knowledge, and information and rewards are being moved downward in the organization. You allow your employees to participate in the management, in the decision making. And then you can use money. Money is always a good motivator. The more money that you give, the more motivated that people are going to get. But you must also remember that sometimes money is not everything to some people. Even the more money that you offer, that cannot signify better performance from them. And then employee ownership, this is also another way for you to motivate. And this is, of course, the employees would feel motivated because now they know that they also own part of the organization. So this would allow greater motivation amongst them. And finally, rewarding team performance, because sometimes in organizations we do things in a team as a teamwork, and when you reward team performance, everybody will feel motivated. So the prescription for greater motivation, you tell people what you expect them to do, make the work valuable, make the work doable, give feedback, and reward successful performance. And as an implication for us as managers, you need to find out what motivates each person, and you need to tie rewards to the behavior that you want, and you need to help people see what is the right behavior and performance. And with that, we conclude this chapter.